Welcome to today's episode for people interested in the extraordinary, yet ancient and often long forgotten stuff. This is your host, Joseph Schinwald from homebythebeach.com. Our guest today is Keira Poulsen, and the topic today, Awaken Your Divine Self. Hello, Keira.
Hello, I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, me too. I think I'm very, first of all, I'm very impressed with what you're doing. And I see your wonderful topics here and the biography. Keira is an intuitive, energetic healer and creator. She has created the spiritual entrepreneur, an all-inclusive and everything people need to succeed in their work as a leader of light. She teaches people who feel a desire to share their message, gifts, and work with the world. She's a creator and host of the Awaken Podcast, a show that talks about awakening the greatness inside of each human. So our topic today is awakening your divine self. Keira, I want to become awakened through you. There are so many other topics I couldn't actually choose, but that one sounded really nice for me because we can talk about it. What do you think is awakening and how do you define it? That would be my first question.
So for me, an awakening is really a remembrance. It's a remembrance of who we really are. And when we can remember, like really remember what our divine self has always known, that's when we awaken. And it's like we get pulled out of the slumber, out of the sleep of human life into a different realm, like a different place of existence that wasn't there before.
So it's more like a perception that changes, or it's a mindset that changes, or is it that what we experience in life is just not what it is?
Well, I don't know. What are you going to say right now?
Yeah, reality doesn't seem like it is when you see it just from the physical senses and, like the eyes and what you experience. The physical senses do often they're limited, correct? And we are spirit.
Yes.
So often we do have those physical senses, and we are in this world, I believe, and there are many different models of thought and theories about it, and we are having maps of reality. Reality is definitely something to be experienced because our words and our thinking are limited. Of course, it's a map. So I think, that's what the awakening is for me, at least. What is it for you?
So I can only speak really for myself, but when I had my awakening, which was when all of these trauma memories shown up in my life, and it was like this pain just broke something apart inside of me. And my mindset did change. But what's interesting is when I felt broken and when I started to seek, like really ask the divine, like show me why I'm here, show me who I am, show me my purpose. And as I began to see life differently. I began to experience things differently. My mind wasn't so shackled. And so, yes, it began in my mind, but then it became like a cellular transformation. Like truly, I don't look the same as I did before this experience in my life. I changed all the way down to my cells. And I see this happen with the women that I work with, is that they literally, we like do before and afters. We see a picture of them before we start working and we look at them afterwards. And I mean, their skin is different. Their hair looks different. Like we really do transform at a cellular level when we awaken to remembrance of who we really are.
That's so beautiful, just the way you said it. I think, like our form is related to the spiritual and the emptiness, around us. And we don't understand the emptiness, but obviously the emptiness, even if you look behind your eyes, it's all black, but it's empty, but it's the most important aspect of your personality. And so it does affect your external form when you change your, like very much your inside, who you are, if you don't identify anymore with your egoic mindset. And I'm still struggling with this, I'm not like talking like some high level guy, definitely not, but it does affect it, I mean, in Buddhism, they have this beautiful verse in the Heart Sutra, which is called form is emptiness, emptiness is form. So, when we become very external, fixated on like objects of our consciousness, then we look like it. Particularly when we're looking at our roles we have in life, we are a business person, we are this and that. And it's beautiful if it shines through that, what we really are, and we are actually playing those roles, and we are choosing those roles so we can experience and we can grow, and we believe that we can be good in the roles so we can grow even further, because we need these experiences. That's why we're here, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautifully said. I couldn't agree more.
So when you had this awakening, tell me a little bit more about it, because I didn't have it yet. I do have spiritual experiences, yes. I was in India 2 years when I was young. I did have spiritual experiences, definitely. But I always interpreted them more like from my own cultural background and my religious background, which I had that time. I don't have that anymore, even though I'm very much interested in all religions. But I don't identify necessarily with one. I like the variety. I love the variety. I would hate it if there would be just one religion and that would dominate the whole world, because we can learn so much from all those spiritual traditions. The same way with experts like you, I mean, since I have my podcast, I learn so much from you extraordinary guests, because I feel like there's so much we can offer from our individual frame of reference.
Yes. I too love, I really do love, though, that you're mentioning that you love all the religions, because I feel the same. I feel like there's just so much delicious nuggets in every religion. Yes. I mean, I'm just so pulled to learn more about Hinduism and Muslim, like all of it. It's like, I just want to know it all. And I think that's an awakening. It's a break from how we're raised. We're raised that there's one, and it's, the one you're raised in. So I love that you mentioned this, because I think that possibly this is the key to true awakening, is like really looking into all of the different beliefs and finding the nuggets that are there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, what makes us different? I think we would be all the same.
Right.
If we, like the self, right? The self is really like in every sentient being. The self is the whole universe. And well, there are other, there's a distinction basically between the personal God and the super-personal God in the East and the West. Yeah. However, you can harmonize it. I mean, even in the East, they have like this bhakti yoga where they choose a different God and they devote themselves to it. And that's all great, I think. Yeah. However, I think it's also very important to understand that there is this distinction where people have a personal God, and then where they don't have one, where they have like a supra, not impersonal, because that doesn't sound good. Yeah. Supra-personal, where there's this thing which is much more than we are. Yeah. And we acknowledge that. Yeah. And it's there. But ultimately also, like Rumi said, we are not a drop in the ocean, but we are the ocean a drop. So we have that fractal being, that ontological being, who we are. And you talked right from the start about this topic of who we are. So who do you think who we are?
Oh,
who are we?
Well, I think we're brilliant beings. We're these light forces. We already like existed before somehow we got in these bodies, and will exist after in some way. And we're here to do something. Like, this isn't just, it's not meaningless. Like, we are here on this earth in bodies to create, to be, to connect, to share. And for some reason, we get very distracted in suffering. And the suffering it keeps us so lodged and stuck, and we forget. The suffering makes us forget. It forgets, like, who am I? What am I here to do? Instead, we just get like sucked into this vacuum of suffering where even those thoughts they're not present. The thoughts of like, what am I here to be doing today? What could I be guided to create today? Instead, the suffering just sucks us back in. And so I'm such a believer of releasing the suffering. And as we do so, the remembrance of who we are, the remembrance of this just magnificent brilliance that's inside of us gets to shine forth. And that's how we actually, that's how I see the world changing, is when everyone starts to remember the divine is within them.
Yes, so beautifully said. I think the world is changing in the sense that more and more people right now have the opportunity to awaken.
Yeah.
And one of the, the purpose of this broadcast is actually to help this process. I think it is a very important aspect of awakening that we also stay compassionate with other beings, because it's always the other person is the same, in a sense. We would be very similar if we wouldn't be born in a different place at a different time, and if we wouldn't have, and that's very important for me, if we wouldn't have had the opportunity to make choices in life. Because I think the meaning of life is not so much that it's a billboard out there in the sky and God writes something on it and that's the meaning of life. It's more like what we make it as a meaningful experience, and more or less it's what we want to experience. So when we want to grow in certain directions, and be all different in that sense, not just because we are born in a different place, whatever, or it's a lot has to do with our choices, what kind of experiences we want, and we believe in those experiences, that we can actually bring them about. Then we know what we believed first, we know it now, and then it's a meaning. The meaning is there for us because it's not out there somewhere in the universe, I think.
Yeah.
What do you think about the meaning of life? Do you get it from the outside or from the
I feel like
inside, the choices?
That's an inside. It's an inside role, right? Like the meaning of life for me it is asking the divine to guide me and watching these paths unfold in miraculous ways that I could have never created. I could have never like made it happen. The synchronicities are so brilliant. And that brings so much meaning to my life. It makes me realize that I'm not all alone. And there is like a bigger purpose. There's a bigger plan than just daily, like making your food and doing your laundry. Like, no, there's something deeper, bigger, meaningful that we can tap into. And that brings a lot of meaning to my life.
And we have to discover it ourselves.
Yeah, we do. It's an inside job, and it's a job that requires seeking.
Yes, unless you know and realize that the seeker is the one who is seeking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So how do you what are you actually doing in your life to make this world better, or to make yourself more of who you are already, so to speak? I think we are who we are, but at the same time, I think we come to this world, like you said before, to have those experiences and to grow in a sense. And it's like, I don't want to throw around big words, which I don't understand myself, but I did study it a little bit, like process theology. It's like the whole thing is like an interconnected web, like in Tantra and in Buddhism. And we are growing immensely, and we are expanding, the whole universe is expanding. And the suffering comes only about, like you mentioned before, because of our egoic mindset, the psychological suffering, because we see ourselves separated from the all, which we are, because we are not like the the master of the whole universe, of course, but for us, we are.
Right. I love it. I love how you speak this, because it is very, we live such a paradox, like everything is a paradox. And that's so hard for some reason as a human. We want things to be good or bad, black or white, yes or no, right? Like it's like that's a very human ego way of being. And I love how you speak is like really bringing in all the paradox. And to me, awakening is that it's the breaking of the mindsets. It's the breaking of the beliefs that have been passed down from generation to generation, and choosing to be different, choosing to do things differently, choosing to see life differently, experience it differently. Yes. And I love that you bring it through in the paradox. It's really beautiful.
I love the word you said, paradox, because paradox actually means, as you know, beyond words. And words are a map.
Interesting.
And the map is not the territory, but we often think that our words and our thinking and our language and our semantics, they are limitless. And we can really figure it out and we can get it through thinking.
Yeah.
But actually, these are just pointers to what is. And you brought that up very nicely also when you just, when you went freely, about talking about those things. Beautiful.
Yeah. I love it. I've never actually heard that definition of paradox. It's so perfect. And I think that's really how we begin to find our divine self, as we break through this map that you're saying, like, no, this doesn't work. And that's how, for me, I look back at my awakening and it was like, I felt like the ceiling had fallen, the floor had fallen, the walls of my life were crumbled. Like it felt like everything I had put my feet on that I thought was sturdy was no longer sturdy. And to me, that's the recipe of an awakening. It's when everything breaks and you have to find your roots. And that's why right now in the world, when everything is broken, it feels like government is breaking and churches are breaking, and everything that we once had planted our feet so firmly into seems to be crumbling. It's the perfect recipe. It can be the recipe for a lot of suffering. It can be the recipe for depression and anxiety, or it can be the recipe to awaken. And that's really where I think we get to shift our viewpoint on what's happening in the world and allow it to be for our good. Like allow all of this breaking to break the old generational beliefs, to break the old generational ties, and start thinking differently, start seeking, find who the divine is for you. Like find where it is the divine inside, outside. Like just my call to humanity is like, let's seek. It's time to stop sleeping and wake up and start seeking.
Yes. When you say seeking, I remember this, I shouldn't go into this because it's very deep and we, but it's a little bit like this. I should mention it a little bit. It's like there are these 10 ox herding. I don't know if you understand my English, my Austrian accent.
I can hear it, yeah.
Ox, like an ox, ox herding an ox, pictures, 10 ox herding pictures in Buddhism, and they start with the seeking. So there are 10 pictures in Buddhist temples. And I would say, I'm definitely not identifying, first of all, with any religion. So I just love it because I want to open up to everything. So I'm not identifying with any particular thing. I like Christianity, all of it, right? So that is like the seeking is actually the first, it's like one of the pictures. And then you find out that you are already different than others because some others, they don't feel the need to seek, maybe in this lifetime or maybe right now, maybe later. But then when you start seeking, what you find is that it's all about your own nature, and your own nature seems like a bull, like a deer, like a bull, like a, a bull, a cow,
yes.
like a male. my English sometimes surprises me.
I like it. I like
So, and you look at it and you look at your own nature and it just escapes you all the time.
Yeah.
And the bull goes this direction, that direction, and this direction, that direction. And you have to tame it.
Mm.
You have to tame your own nature. Like you have, this other topics, how to nourish your body, mind, and soul daily, and all this. I think that's about taming your own nature. And when you tame it, you suddenly realize that you are actually not even the seeker, that you are the self. And then you even realize that you're not even the self in this picture series. I'm not talking about myself now because I'm not that far advanced. So you realize that you are the self, but the self is also kind of so interconnected, interdependently co-originating with everything else. Like the Buddhists say, that's a good way to see it, I think, that you are actually everything, but also nothing. Because you depend so much on everything. And at the same time, you are everything with your consciousness. And at the same time, also, you realize this empty circle now, this huge space you are. That's consciousness. And then it's so important, I think, because I have experiences with others, with other people who are kind of enlightened, but they didn't find that compassion. So that compassion, that the heart and the mind, and you are the expert here with the nourishing your body, mind, and soul. I'm sure you agree with me that the mind and the brain and the heart has to find the harmony. After all, to become like you are doing it now. You're going on a podcast, and you're on a podcast tour, so to speak, because you feel like you want to enlighten other people also, and you want to help other people. So that is a very nice aspect of you, that you are thinking about others and not just about, like your own liberation, whatever it is, right? That's called in India, in Hinduism, the Arat. The Arat is the person who goes to the mountain and just meditates there and becomes enlightened there. But then there's the Bodhisattva idea in Buddhism, where you go to actually help others on their path. To become also awakened,
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that. And I definitely feel like it's like a two-part, like you go first to the top of the mountain, you do your work, but then it's time to go out and spread the work. Then you get to go out and help other people go to the top of the mountain.
Yes. But that's because you have that love in you.
Yeah.
And that's also very much awakening, because otherwise it's incomplete.
Yeah, I see that.
So we don't have so much time anymore, and I would love to talk with you for hours.
I know, this is just so fun. I'm learning so much.
Maybe we should go another time.
Right. Yeah, this has been really fun.
But I want to mention some of the things which will be in the show notes, so people can get to know more about you and connect with you. You have a wonderful website and all this, and you are actually, I would like to have you explain a little bit how people can get in touch with you, like YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever. But if you just have the website where they can subscribe to a mailing list or find your Facebook group or interact with you, I will definitely, because I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Not only this, I think we are very much on a good vibration here.
Yeah, this is really fun. I'm so grateful to have spent this time in this conversation. And my website, KeiraPoulsen.com, is a good place to start. Or if they just want to check over on Instagram, just my name, Keira Poulsen. That's a really easy way to stay up to date. I do own a publishing house for women, so I have an Instagram for that. It's called Freedom House Publishing Co. And we're a house of liberation. So I only publish books that are spiritual, self-help. They're going to add light to the world. And so it's a very powerful movement of bringing and raising the vibrations of humanity through literature of light. And it's just really, really exciting.
All this will be in the show notes with the links, and the biography and all this will be in the show notes and will be put on Facebook also. And you will also share
yes,
it.
Yes, I will. Mm-hmm.
And so really, I since we didn't have much time to talk today, I really would like to invite you again, maybe in a few months.
Yeah.
And we can talk about another topic. You have topics like how to nourish your body, mind, and soul daily, how to find the gifts within trauma.
Mm-hmm.
That's a wonderful one.
Yeah.
I would love to talk about how to find the gifts within trauma next time.
Okay.
So now, since we are connected,
yeah,
I can easily help you again. And then you have another one, how to create a body of work that is centered on your gifts and make a huge impact in the world. Beautiful.
Mm.
And I'm very impressed by the whole idea. Just look into at your picture. So beautiful. Those eyes, the whole spiritual background is so straight. Do you do yoga?
Sometimes I love yoga, but I also have 5 kids. So, yoga is more of like dessert to me. I need it to actually start becoming like a daily part of my world, but I haven't quite yet.
Well, I'm going to follow you everywhere now here on internet. It's like stagging.
Yeah, I love it.
Keira, it was beautiful to talk with you. Yes. I know you have another meeting soon coming up.
Yeah.
And I apologize for being a little bit late. So we had to short it. So that's why I would love to have you on another podcast for sure. And I promise my audience that we will, if you are agreeing to it,
Yeah.
So thank you, Keira Poulsen. Did I say Poulsen right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I say it again. Thank you, Keira Poulsen. Thank you, Keira, for having been on the show. It was a real pleasure and listening experience. I thank you, my dear listeners, for joining us today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Keira, I really want to talk with you again. It was a beautiful conversation.
It was. Thank you. Thank you for holding the space for this. I appreciate it.
Thank you also. The recap of the show with bullet points are in the show notes with all the links mentioned during the interview on homebythebeach.com. If you like this podcast, please subscribe to have you here again for our next episode. This is your host, Joseph Schinwald. Thank you and goodbye until we meet again.